Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to game number 2 between RadRoofer and Blues. Game number 1, handily going over to Blues, quite frankly. It was just some strong, basic play from Blues with maybe a couple missteps from RadRoofer. Blues swings in with a fairly quick off-world that he was able to construct with that kind of utilizing that carbon as a scavenger. And clean up the game very, very quickly with a strong majority buyout. RadRoofer just didn't have the cash to defend himself in the moment. And died right then and there. Not often that we see majority buyouts, but they do happen from time to time. Looking at this map, Blues is actually already founded, kind of deciding, well, there's only one real spot I want, and it's in the middle of all that iron and aluminum, and I don't really blame him. You're not seeing good carbon around the map anywhere. There is just like the one patch of aluminum with kind of like spread out iron around it. There are still definitely claims for RadRoofer to make. It's not like he's out of this by any measure. You can easily drop robotic or expansive over into this iron and still be okay. Maybe try and take up a good water because you were knocked back a little bit. There's access to this water. Silicon looking a bit awkward this game, just the same way carbon is. And RadRoofer is finally going to go ahead and put up a couple of metal mines and a steel mill as robotic. Those I don't think are going to work out as well for him as he would like, unfortunately. Blues has already had plenty of time to gather up iron and kind of tank the price on that. And so it's going to be difficult for RadRoofer to actually make money from this iron in order to push into the admittedly cheap aluminum. And I think I would have liked to see maybe one metal mine here, and then a couple of steel mills, even if they were looking a bit awkward. But thankfully, he does have the cash on hand to go ahead and push to that initial upgrade, that cheap upgrade for a robot. Definitely coming through and helping him there. And hopefully he will be able to push into steel production very, very soon. Slowdown Strike already coming up as an auction. If I were RadRoofer, I'd honestly feel like I was in a position where I really wanted to push hard on this and just dump it all over Blues territory right now. Just forget the Goon Squad penetration, forget the fact that adrenaline boosts are sitting in this game. Just slow him down, catch back up, and get that robotic lead is almost certainly what I would do right now, and that's exactly what RadRoofer has gone ahead and decided. He wants to use that here and now, just to kind of cut into that steel production. But along with this, he needs to be getting his buildings down, and he needs to be pressing through and deciding what to do with these claims very, very quickly. As Blues is already well established in all of his buildings at HQ level 2, already got his 40 glass purchased up to head to 3, and he's not slowing down anytime soon. Strike or no strike. The black market is online. Alright, let's go ahead and take a quick glance at the black market. It's looking a little similar to last game. We got holograms and spies again, pirates again, no scientists this time, it is important to note. Magnetic storm, so really good there's no scientists this time. Can you imagine oxygen flying out and just getting knocked down on the way to those glass furnaces? Ugh. EMPs and adrenaline boosts going to be available along with mutinies and goon squads. So we do have the potential to see, would have been really great to see RadRoofer really try and abuse that adrenaline boost right at the start of the game. Get to that immediate found into an adrenaline boosted steel mills, a set of steel mills and metal mines before your opponent has the chance to respond. Could have definitely been a really, really fast way to get a lead this game. Unfortunately, he missed the opportunity for that. So instead, we might be watching for these adrenaline boosts to be used in that classic, I'm going to off-world rush even harder fashion, just powering out that building and getting that first launch sent out twice as fast as the opponent is expecting. Can really, really, really be used to push to a very fast majority buyout in the right circumstances. Blues, with that HQ level lead, has pushed into just a couple of farms and a water pump to supply them. Nothing too surprising there. And we are also going to see a classic expansive geotherm out of him for power. RadRoofer, on the other hand, he has selected to go for a wind turbine, and he has taken aluminum kind of separate. He's only ever going to have access to that one aluminum tile, no adjacency. Shouldn't be too much of a concern this game. He is a robot. Aluminum prices have started low. I will be surprised if they move all that high this game. Robots always tending to keep those aluminum prices down. Alright. RadRoofer has hit 3. Looks like he's decided what to do with most of his claims, committing one to water. Looks like another one probably headed towards silicon up here. They're gonna be adjacent. No bonuses from that right away, but they would be available later, although he did cancel the silicon. Be interesting to see what he actually decides long term. And he has selected to go for a high carbon tile, which is actually going to be making him a lot of money already. Carbon is up at $56 and no scavenger this game, along with kind of awkward carbon. I definitely like this move. Look at how valuable that one tile is. That's a nice pickup that Blues unfortunately kind of missed out on, choosing to go for power and this food instead, which is not making him anywhere near as much money right now. I definitely think that was kind of a missed opportunity.
Expansive colony expanded.
Still though, Blues ahead in upgrades. He is going to head into another bit of water. No surprise whatsoever if you want to be making those water-based things. You've got to have enough water to go with them most of the time in the 1v1. And actually, he is going to be the one to take the silicon. Kind of taking that tile away from RadRoofer. Not the end of the world, but certainly worth noting. Silicon already up at $43. Still doesn't compare to this carbon, but it's not bad in and of itself. Blue's running just a slight deficit in power. RadRoofer, much deeper one. That will happen as a robot. He is going to want to think about possibly pushing into another wind turbine on his upgrade, although he has decided just to go into solar panels, which does help explain why that silicon price has jumped up to the point where it has. Finally, a little more black market action coming down. We do have an EMP onto Blue's steel. Steel not all that valuable, but with how cheap iron is too, it could still be an okay decision. Maybe would have rather seen some attacks against water up here, but it is always difficult to kind of make yourself hit yourself. It's not really what you want. So still an understandable EMP out of RadRoofer, who has managed to push himself to HQ level 4. Is going to be trying to make some electronics already. All the robots, they love doing this. They love making these electronics. But I am concerned about them. As discussed earlier, carbon, a little expensive. Silicon just got pressed up in price. Aluminum, still kind of cheap, but at $24. I don't know if this is exactly the right time to be trying to produce electronics at only about a $9 revenue right now. Not really what you're looking for at this stage of the game, I would say. Blues is actually, I believe, buying up quite a bit of silicon, which is a nice way to punish RadRoofer for this electronics play, if that is in fact what he is up to, which I'm pretty sure it is. I don't think this silicon tile has made 200 silicon just yet. So definitely some nice stuff coming out of Blues there. He has sold out of it at this point, decided, it's not really doing a whole lot. I'd rather have that money in hand right now. And Blues has actually been hit by a mutiny on the geotherm. Don't mind that too much. Geotherm's always kind of nice, but in return, EMP onto RadRoofer gonna hurt his money production right now in those farms and in those electronics. They're not going to be getting much done anytime soon for RadRoofer. Blues once again going to be the first to HQ level 5. Throwing down glass furnaces, definitely what I would have expected out of Blues. He can easily use those to transition into an off-world market if he would like to. He can sell them down if he needs black market effects. That's exactly the kind of thing I expect from an expansive player right now. Once again, so far, kind of a weak black market. Fuel the best at 452, unless there's something strange down here. Steel surprisingly good at 390. That could play a big role. Chem's at 399. And yeah, nothing else really worth talking about all that much, honestly. Like food's the next at 325. This steel, I think, is kind of a big deal, though, because if you can get an off-world market online, just start shuttling steel off-world, you drive that steel price up, make it hard for your opponent to expand, put down buildings, get into their own off-world, and you can make a pretty penny out of that this game. With that 390 off-world price for steel, that could end up being interesting. We'll just have to see how everything plays out long-term. Looks like Blues is just about done setting up his production, so we can take a look at what he has managed to pull off. There are black market effects also flying around with things like more mutinies on the geotherm. Blues taking that back. Pirates going down, it looked like, on some water and silicon. Not a lot of money coming from that, but it could be alright, depending on exactly what you catch. However, Blues has moved into, just to take a look, 3 reactors, 3 farms, 3 glass furnaces, still sitting on those 4 steel mills for his production, with a bit of water, iron, aluminum, and silicon all coming in, and I believe just a touch of carbon, just a little bit, just making absolutely certain that he has access to at least some, even if it's not going to be particularly good. Alright, claim auction. We'll go ahead and let this go, and then we'll talk about what RadRoofer's got going on right now, since he has managed to use up most of his claims as well. Excuse me. Yeah, like I said, guys. It's late and I'm not doing well, and I apologize for that. It's interesting to think about how much a player is actually willing to value a claim at this stage of the game. 24,000 debt really is not a whole lot, but obviously that claim is not going to be very beneficial compared to a claim that would have happened on day one. RadRoofer is going to be the one to end up taking that. Not surprised by that in any way. He has a very, very, very little debt right now, even after that. Only 36,000 at that AA rating, and he desperately needs to find some kind of edge to stick around in this game, I think. We can go ahead and check. Blue's sitting on about $20,000. RadRoofer on about 9 at the moment. RadRoofer is in the middle of a transition, as is Blues. But once again, Blue's the expansive player unless RadRoofer does something interesting. Blues is just going to have a straight-up advantage of having more claims long-term. So it is definitely on RadRoofer, I think, to make something happen for himself. And to really find some kind of edge to press through in this game. Because if Blues manages to do that first, it's very difficult, I think, for a robotic player to really drive himself back into the game against an expansive. And we can see that Blues has pushed into this Offworld. It's been frozen this whole time. It got frozen almost as it went down. Currently about a quarter of the way done. And so that is going to be the advantage that Blues is going to be trying to ride through this game. No adrenaline boost down on it just yet. It is goon squatted, and Blues has a good 30-second wait until the black market opens back up again. We could still see the adrenaline boost come through. However, he already got punished for not goon squatting that once. Definitely, I imagine, not going to do anything like boost that until that goon squad was protecting it. So I'm not surprised that we haven't seen it just yet. RadRoofer going ahead and connecting all his territory. Could be nice if he wants to move these wind turbines into some real production long term, so I don't really mind that. And he has also pushed into a not a patent office, sorry, a hacker array that looks like a patent office. And then he's chosen to get aggressive against Blues. He is trying to do something interesting this game. He kind of recognized the fact that he's behind. He sees that Offworlds, while good, aren't perfect.
The black market
and so he is trying, it looks like, to just go for a very quick hacker array play and kind of punish his opponent, see if he can catch him before this Offworld has had enough time to work. Unfortunately, the hacker array taking longer to trigger than an Offworld does, especially with these boosts going on. I think it's probably going to end up being too little, too late for RadRoofer, but we will have to see what happens. Another claim auction coming out. I really don't think this one is that big a deal right now. It feels like the game is winding down, coming to a close. I don't know exactly what this claim auction is going to do for you that you weren't already able to accomplish without it. So, but on the other hand, the debt's not going to hurt that badly. It's really difficult to judge exactly how valuable this particular auction is to either player. It is going to go ahead and go over to RadRoofer, it looks like, for 28,000. Oh man, RadRoofer really trying to fight Blues directly in stock, but Blues, I'm really concerned. It's still a boosted Offworld. Bad or not bad, it's still a boosted Offworld, and it's really hard to argue against that and say there's a good edge past a boosted goon squatted Offworld in these games, especially without access to something like a slowdown strike. Blues is also headed into a hacker array of his own, possibly wants to play with some prices, make sure his opponent doesn't have a good route back into the game, possibly managing to find an edge, something like glass that he can hack, and simply turn his money into more money. Regardless, I don't mind the move. Aluminum's really not doing a whole lot for him. It's difficult to find strong production right now. So I like the hacker array play. Blues does actually have the cash just to finish up this game here and now. He only needs to secure 3 more stock from his opponent These launches will easily be helping him bring that in. He's actually choosing to defend himself right now. Maybe not realizing exactly how strong his lead is. Maybe just a little bit worried about the fact that that 50% was flashing up from RadRoofer. So he's given RadRoofer a little bit of time to try and find an edge back into this game with these particular plays. Oh, he actually realized he bought up a bit more of his own stock than he needed to. Going to sell that down to the 5 that he requires to secure his position in this game. And now he will be going after RadRoofer's stock. He has enough to pick up one more. Hasn't decided to do it just yet. Maybe checking out the black market, trying to make a decision there. Just looking, making sure that he is absolutely set for this game.
The black market.
And now his money's fallen a little bit low anyway. Trying to figure out exactly what to do with this hacker array he constructed. That's what it looks like Blues is up to. We do see a water surplus coming on through. Possibly trying to just make it so he can make some food. Trying to make his reactors a little bit better. It's hard to say exactly what would have caused him to select a water surplus there. He's got the cash to finish it up right here now. RadRoofer, can you buy your own stock in the next 2 seconds? No. Red button. And red button. It's red, guys. The button's red. There you go. And Blues finishes up the game. Yep, boosted Offworld to do that. Clean 2-0 over to Blues. Drew it out a bit more this time. Didn't have quite the lead he had in the other game. RadRoofer putting up a bit more of a fight. So Blues just kind of deciding, I'm going to make sure of this. I'm going to absolutely secure my own stock. I'm going to just keep pressing through. My opponent doesn't have an edge. I don't know if he ever figured out exactly what this building was until the mutiny that I believe he threw on it later in the game. Might have been concerned it was an Offworld for a while. Almost certainly knew it was hologrammed, as one moment it was a patent lab and the next it was a wind turbine to him. But still, hacker array that late. Hacker array after Offworld, not good enough. I think if you're going to utilize the hacker array, it really should come down on HQ level 4, not HQ level 5. But a hard call to make, certainly. Definitely worth an effort to try and find that edge back into a game that RadRoofer was behind in from start to finish. He did manage to start this Offworld. Not by much. And possibly a bit of a mistake, as he needed that money to secure his own stock rather than being able to afford the Offworld. But who knows, maybe that would have just been delaying the end a bit more. Very, very, very difficult to come back from that position when your opponent has managed to get 4 Offworld launches up. So can't really blame him for going all or nothing on that market. Alright guys, that was a quick 2-0 on over to Blues. Strong wins from him. Let me go ahead and tab out and see who it is he will be facing in the next round. And we don't actually know yet, because it's the winner of Gameslayer versus Junithorn. We'll have to see how that goes.